Hello, I am back, and my camera cut off in the last video, but I can jump right back in. And if you haven't heard, in my last video, I am a victim of covert warfare. So I really like to focus on that for these readings. I think it's something I might even make a ritual. So for those of you who are the innocent people of covert warfare and suffering from AI warfare, such as brain-computer interface as illegal research, the illegal research victims, I wish you safety, security, happiness, and health. And let's pull one for BCI. I'm getting the Phoenix upright, the transformation process. Now, in the last one, I pulled the Phoenix reversed, going through cycles and cycles and cycles of transformation, like a lot of us do. But specifically, this problem, making it hard to really break through a cycle and find that happiness, healthiness, and safety and security, which is really the problem. It's also why I'm here. I needed to find a method, a healthy method to really channel what's going on with me. So for the last one, the Phoenix was reversed. So I want to say that I think that there's enough hope that the brain-computer interface research subjects that are suffering from these remote communications, some of them call it V2K, voice to skull. Some of them call it synthetic telepathy. But either way, it's a multimodal interface for me, a bidirectional interface, two-way communications. And I think that there's a way to transform and enter the next cycle with just a little less pain than the last time, is always what I hope. For those of you who are deep in combat, or and I do mean psychological combat, as I pull one for psychological operations here, and I get the Ace of Pentacles. I think that there is a way for us to work together, and hopefully we can make it a creative one. It can be really hard when you have your creativity just drained from you. For anyone who's suffering from energy vampirism, especially the BCI subjects, then you know how hard it is to transform and to really take the reins on your own cycle when you're being harvested, trying to break through the veil even. And so we've got, for psychological operations and psychological combat, we've got the Ace of Pentacles, a very real thing. It's been a place where it's incredible what you can do with your mind, especially when you're fighting an AI monster. Being able to combat, and it's just like any kind of combat, each person with their own individual, I'm hearing means, methods, but styles, and strength. This is a strength, it's a skill, to be able to psychologically combat a weapon. It's one that I would never wish for anyone to suffer or endure, but nonetheless, it's it's something that people are skill building, and that are really, we see this in military factions, we see this in the army, we see brain-computer interface, and all sorts of spaces where it's fun, or where it's convenient, or where we're using these technologies for new breakthroughs in communications. I'm hearing communications, and things like remote controlling. I'm hearing operatives down, and I'm pulling the Ace of Wands reversed. So we've got two aces and a Phoenix, and a Phoenix is really like the ace of the whole deck. It's a beautiful card here. So we've got two aces on either side of this Phoenix here, and one for the victims of psychological operations that are in psychological combat. I'm talking about not just AI to human interface, but AI versus human. And then we've got the people that do it consensually in the military, and I'm getting the Ace of Wands reversed, which is also the card of, let's see, Ace of Pentacles is Gluon, and the Ace of Wands is Photon. This is the Quantum Tarot deck version 2.0. So we see a lot of high energy here. And it demands to be manifest is really what the Ace of Pentacles is. And it almost looks like a rocket ship taking off. But to be manifest, whether it be physically, I'm hearing psychologically, but also sexually, spiritually, however you might want to manifest this upsurge of energy. And we do see it is reversed here, where I'm pulling one for the military, and remote controlling drones with your mind also comes to mind. But I also am going to be focusing on the aspect of, I'm hearing play, as I'm thinking entertainment industry, the media machine, not just for combat with AI, using things like computation and hyperactive, hyperfast, predictive combat situations, but also for fun, for play, and being used as a victim for all sorts of modules of interface, including, I'm hearing collective, connective, but I was going to say comedic interplay. It's funny. It's a funny weapon. It has a sense of humor, and it's also mined and collected all sorts of data from the human spectrum. And I am pulling, for this multimodal interface, the Lover's card, which I think is gravity. Let's see. Is it theory of gravity on here? And so we find in the Lovers card, this union, which can also be the Gemini card. It's a card of union. It's a card of partnerships. We see them tying the knot here. And a male and a female figure as well. I am going to talk about sexual technologies in the future. But also a card of Gemini, which is the card of technology. So we see this union here. And we also see the Five of Pentacles, a card of duality. So we've got 6 and we've got 5 of Pentacles reversed. So almost like living a double life comes to mind as well. And I pulled this in the last spread. This character is reversed, almost split into 2 here. We see a double with his back turned to the extra pentacles here. And they're concealed, they're hidden. So duality again. And then we have the Knight of Swords here, someone who's in combat. And it is reversed. Hercules is this card. This is Hercules, who was, I think, a demigod. And he was persecuted heavily by Hera, one of Zeus's wives. So she's really the cause for, I'm hearing mystery. So she's really the cause for his trials and tribulations and coming out of spaces of persecution that can really, these highly pressurized environments of combat, in which I'm hearing a star is born. But also skills, I'm hearing leadership, I'm hearing practice. But we see this combat, I'm hearing insurgent, and it's reversed. Why don't we take a look at a spread of past, present, and future. And let's focus on covert warfare and the victims. Let's just read one for collectively, if anybody's watching, that's a covert warfare victim. And right here in the present, we have the Two of Pentacles. It's hard to balance. The Two of Pentacles is also particle spin in this deck. And this figure is really doing a headstand, kind of lopsided here, but balancing these 2 pentacles the best that he can. And it reminds me of being thrown off of my axis, which is something that has happened in a space of misalignment through these situations that are just complete AI versus human combat. So being thrown off balance. Looking into the past, we see a mothering, nurturing card comes to mind, but the Queen of Wands, which at best can be mothering, nurturing. We think of Venus, we think of Aphrodite type energies, and she's kind of bare-breasted in front of Venus here for all to see, and she's dancing between these twin pillars. And so cycles of the past for victims. Self-expression is what this card reminds me of, and I am trying this new way myself. To find a way to express what's going on with me in a way that makes sense to me, in a way that I can try to flow a little bit easier. So at best, it is that loving, nurturing, and expressive. I'm hearing behavior mannerism. But it's also, at worst, right, Venus's planetary conditions can be very inhospitable. And I think its temperatures can even melt iron, is it, or lead? And so it's a very feminine, I'm hearing, torture system. Looking forward into the future, we've got the card of harmony. That's a great card. It would be great if our collective cycles could be moving forward in something where we're coming to, I'm hearing marriage contract, whether that be literal or figurative. When I hear marriage contract, I think of neither one specifically, but neither, either or. And the UN comes to mind, the United Nations. Let's pull one for that. So the United Nations is allegedly investigating torture. They're investigating cyber torture, and victims around the world are filing complaints, turning in paperwork, and doing their best to get the word out, so that we can inform the United Nations of our situation, and covert warfare as a form of cyber torture, where this web-like connection with cybernetic hive mind research also, with these AI communication systems, is something that is it's unbelievably torturous, but it is a cyber communication, and they're building webs of cyber communications over public airwaves with these systems. I mean, weaving, sewing patterns of communication over shared public airwaves. This is not legal research. And so we're looking at contracts comes to mind again for the Four of Wands here, as they're kind of breakdancing, trying to maneuver and trying to move, trying to maneuver. I'm hearing trying to maneuver around us, I'm hearing. To pick a prize, and I'm getting like a pig and a pen, pig pen. That reminds me of Gertrude. I watched Neuralink's recent update. I don't know if anyone has seen that, for their brain-computer interface system, and they did test it on pigs, and did a little bit of a show and tell. So while I'm hearing business marketing side of things, that's going on, there's also research, I'm hearing investigation. United Nations, and I'm getting the 10 of Swords reversed. That's a lot of swords pointed towards this person's heart, and it's reversed. And it reminds me of not being able to express how much torture that we, I'm hearing we the people, I'm hearing you understand, have undergone. And I'm hearing not. Really, really game over. Okay. And so I have been totally immersed in this world. I'm hearing of photography. I'm getting digital. I'm like a zoom. And so some of this dialogue is coming in layers, where some are more audible than others. It's also subliminal technologies. It's unbelievably hard to describe. It's unbelievably hard to disclose. It's hard to blow the whistle about this stuff. Knowing how deeply we have suffered is something that's being covered up, it's something that's concealed, it's something that's hidden, while the world's people and just collectives of people and individuals, where there's highly individualized torture systems as well, are just undergoing, I'm hearing great fall, so badly, and just making it to the finish line of even one disclosure at a time, and just really just trying to get there. And then who knows how the United Nations will handle it. Will they be able to? I'm hearing score keep. Hearing you, your mother. So we see a lot of pain and suffering, and also computation and mind torture comes to mind with the 10 of Swords, 10 representing the intellect, and the damage that it does to the physical heart space. For anyone who has heard layers and levels dimensions of dialogue, that they're absolutely just tortured with synthetic telepathy. Then you know the pain and suffering also that it can inflict upon the breast, the torture of the heart space and the torture of the mind, and using mind torture to torture the heart space as well. It's unbelievably deep, it's unbelievably dark, and it's unbelievably secretive. Okay. So I'm hearing looking forward. I'm hearing to it. And I'm pulling this is the card of radioactivity. 7 of Swords, radioactivity, and it's crossed by the 8 of Swords. We have the 7 and 8 of Swords here. And overlying this radioactive card here, I'm hearing waste, I'm hearing maneuver, mover, pig. And the 8 of Swords reversed here. This figure, she's behind these swords, kind of trapped. It's the card of imprisonment. It's also the card of cork, confinement, and color charge. But she's confined here behind these bars. Again, swords representing the intellect. This could even be mental imprisonment for some. I'm going to throw out a new term that most of us have not heard of, and that is virtual warfare and virtual imprisonment. I'm talking about traps, AI traps, not just of the mind, but using all sorts of manipulative technologies. And so we find ourselves in these mental traps often, and really even building our own barriers and boundaries to try to keep it out. Even kind of shelters us from the world, or can isolate us, put us in a very isolating position. I know that's something that I've suffered from, and my heart goes out to you for anyone who has suffered that as well. Unbelievably sad. Unbelievably sad. Past, I'm hearing dialogue, and I'm getting another. Let's see, the Knight of Pentacles, Taurus, Centaurus, and also Chiron. Symbolizes Chiron in this card as well, who is the wounded healer.